Hi, my name's Mickey Mulgrew. How are you?
How are you?
Very well. Guys, I didn't mean to interrupt your class, but I just want you to know that Dr. Robert Scott has been selected, and I'd like to congratulate him on being the school division's Teacher of the Year.
Oh, thank you very much. Guys, somebody find my glasses. That's better. Thank you. Hey, it's good to see you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Mr. Bartlett, thank you very much.
My name's Neil Beach. I'm the principal here. I've been the principal here for 8 years now. And I've had the pleasure of working with Dr. Scott for about 13 years in one capacity or another. He's taught here for a number of years in a number of capacities. Special education teacher, gifted education teacher, language arts teacher. He's a really talented educator, and the ability that he has to migrate through those different curriculum areas obviously sets him apart as an educator. It's a fairly unique skill set that he has. The award that he received is the Prince William County Teacher of the Year award, and he's a very, very worthy recipient, hardworking, dedicated individual, uniquely talented. For the school it's important because he really is representative of a very talented group of educators and professionals that come to work and do their best for the students in our community. So he really is representative of that group, but at the same time a worthy recipient to be singled out for this recognition. He's nominated by his peers. The process that our schools use allows a fellow educator to nominate one of their peers, and the contributions that come forward to support, in this case Dr. Scott's nomination, are from his colleagues, the students with whom he works, and parents or the members of the community. So it's a meaningful recognition, and the people that he works most closely with are those who are writing nice things about him, deservedly. We obviously hope he does well at the next round when the Washington Post chooses their Teacher of the Year for the DC metro area.
I like being in Dr. Scott's class because it gives you the chance to do whatever you want to do. It allows you to be an adult, it allows you to think for yourself, it allows you to make your own decisions. You learn really, really cool stuff. You learn things that you wouldn't learn in a regular class. And I feel like he goes out of his way to make our education something we're actually interested in rather than something that we're required to do.
Most definitely. You know, last year being in his class, I just sit down and listen to him talk about different, subjects and topics, and the amount of what he knows about each thing is like, you're astonished by it. You're like, oh my gosh, I want to know as much as you know. And he's such a great mentor because he motivates you too. You just you want to log out of Netflix and then pick up and read a book after taking his class.
So I think what sets Dr. Scott apart is not only how he teaches in the classroom, but the ends he will go for you outside of the classroom. I can't tell you how much he's helped me with my college search. I sent him dozens of emails over his own winter break, and he replied to all of them. One of them he even replied to on Christmas, and I was just like, oh my God, I don't deserve you.
I definitely think that's a big thing about Dr. Scott is he goes above and beyond. I think that I've had him for 2 classes. I've had him for my gift education class, and now I have him for AP seminar, which is a serious course. And even in a serious and I guess in a less serious context, Dr. Scott is always an exemplary teacher. He knows students. He knows us well. He knows how we focus. He knows what we focus on, how long he can get our attention for, and he caters to the students. He doesn't force students to meet him. He allows himself to teach to how the students learn best.
Whatever the assignment might be, you go to him during lunch and he'll put down whatever he's working on and immediately have his entire attention, all his focus and his brain power to you to help you solve your problem.
My favorite thing about being in his class was all 3 of us were in the same class last year, and I can't speak on behalf of them, but it was the first time I ever had a teacher ask me what we wanted to learn, and we got to pick our topic, and it was the best 2 weeks of learning I've ever had.
I teach advanced placement seminar and advanced placement research. I also teach as part of the gifted program and sometimes in the English department depending upon how the schedule comes out. But the advanced placement seminar and advanced placement research represent the bulk of what I do day to day. And what I like about those classes is how they're structured in such an innovative way, where the classes are entirely about performance assessments. There's no established curriculum for either course. Students write about things that are meaningful or interesting to them, and if they perform the procedural work at a high enough level, then they get the A or they get the 5 from College Board at the end of the year. And I've been an advocate for meaningful, challenging performance assessments for decades at this point, and I think that's my favorite part about teaching in the capstone program is that I will have a student who is comparing the rate of ankle and knee injuries on artificial turf versus real grass, sitting next to a student writing about the opioid crisis, sitting next to a student who's writing about the early onset Alzheimer's in geriatric patients who have too many surgeries at the end of their lives. It's fascinating, but it means that we have a different kind of classroom today, that a classroom where we have to be okay with students doing different things at different times. And it means that grading has changed too. One of the fortunate things for me about being essentially a research and writing teacher is that I do have the luxury and the opportunity to really grade students in a standards-based way. And I think of it like parallel parking. We learn to parallel park. Most of us learn to parallel park. My sister's 51 years old. She doesn't know how to parallel park. She gets an F. Being 51 years old and having paid to park her car for the last 35 years, my sister gets an F. Anybody else, if I learn to parallel park on Tuesday, you learn to parallel park on Thursday, somebody else learns to parallel park next Monday. It takes me 2 tries, it takes you 5 tries, it takes somebody else 6 tries or 7 tries. Once we know how to parallel park, that practice along the way shouldn't hurt us. It shouldn't hurt our grade, shouldn't hurt our final score, and it shouldn't appear on the rubric. Denoting that I took 2 tries, you took 5 tries, and my sister took 34 years. Having that luxury and that opportunity in the classroom to grade students that way is actually, it's one of my favorite things about the class, but it's also one of my favorite things about how education has evolved in the last 20 years. There to communicate with parents and students today to say, my deadline for that paper is October 1st. Unless it's not good, then I don't want it on October 1st. I want your best effort, not your rushed effort. As a kid, I remember doing homework on the bus. We did homework on the bus and we gave it to the teacher and you got your score. I don't want homework on the bus. I want a student's best effort. And if that means it isn't done on Tuesday and they need until Friday or they need until the following Monday, I'm okay with that. It's learning how to write. What I need students to do is to work with me and to trust me and to be comfortable in this room taking risks and making mistakes. Basketball, you'll never learn to shoot a left-handed layup or hit a three-pointer sitting on the couch watching basketball. At some point you have to take the risk. At some point you have to go out on the court and miss a whole lot of shots. Teaching students how to write is exactly like that. They have to take the risks. They have to make mistakes. They have to sit down with me with a clutch of colored markers and pencils and go line by line through their essays to say, I like this a lot. This is an outrage. I'm not sure what you were doing here. Please fix this. And the way to make that safe for students is, we use humor. I use humor every day. The first person we laugh at is me. I'm a novelist. My first novel, I tell students every year, my first novel that I published with Orion Books in London, my editor painstakingly over a period of about 18 months she cut over 60,000 words of my first novel. That's 200 pages that we threw away because it was bad writing. It was bad writing, but I learned a lot from having gone through that. I learned when to take risks and how to try innovative things, but mostly I learned that writing is like parallel parking. It's like shooting a three-pointer. You're never going to get it unless you take the risks and make the mistakes. Now, I have 15 and 16-year-old students who are very bright kids who don't want to make mistakes, and convincing them that the first thing they have to do is make mistakes that's my first sort of important job at the beginning of the year. And there we make it fun. I have to make it fun. If I can't make it fun for them to make mistakes in their writing, then I shouldn't be the one doing this job. Because that's asking too much of them. When I was a kid, when I first started teaching, I had lots of elaborate philosophies about what it meant to be a teacher. These elaborate notions about Vygotskian philosophy and all this stuff that I'd read as a graduate student. That a lot of that, well, it was interesting, but a lot of that needs to go away. I mean, that my philosophy of education has evolved over the last 25 years. That education, for me, education is entirely about what's in their heads at the end of the day, and that's it. A lot of the other sort of philosophical ideas and concepts about education need to either support that philosophy. How do they demonstrate what they know? How do I measure what they know? And how do we meet at that point where the rubber meets the road, where I'm finding out what's in their heads and they're demonstrating what's in their heads in a safe place where they feel safe and they want to be here taking the risks and making the mistakes. That should be our philosophy of education today. I'm in a constant fight. I'm in a constant fight with social media and Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and Snapchat. I mean, it's a constant fight against information masquerading as real and true or credible and relevant. One of the first things we do at the beginning of the year is work on ways to find the most credible and relevant information. Once they have credible and relevant information, students feel more comfortable taking risks and making mistakes, because they feel like even if maybe their commentary on the information that they found, the research they found that they want to incorporate into their writing is weak, that if they found good solid information that they can turn it into something. And once we get to that point, the first time that a student says to me, I better check that source, that's a questionable source, let me get back to you, I've won. I've won, because I know at that point, if they're going to go to see that they found something credible, that's something that's relevant, that's going to pass my test of can I base a good persuasive research argument on this piece of research or on these data, then as a teacher, I know that I can convince that student to do 2 or 3 or 4 drafts of the work that they do to blend these voices together, to comment on these voices, or to make their argument. Because in the end, they want to win. They want to make the three-pointer. They want to parallel park the car. They want to be successful. And so stripping away a lot of what used to be some of that these old philosophical ideas about, student learning, and focusing on the bare bones of that, of me communicating to them and saying, at the end of the day, the most important job we have is to figure out what's in your head. And then students recognizing that they have a job when they come in here. Their job is demonstrate what's in their head. And some days that's writing, some days that's arguing, some days that's talking to me, some days that's sitting down and us editing through an essay together and me asking them questions. And then I have times, it happens all the time actually, where I'll have a student, we'll sit and talk about a paragraph that she's written. And I'll ask her questions and she'll say, oh, well, that was this, and I read it here and I found it there, and she'll say, okay, let me edit that again. I say, you don't even need to. Make the next one better. You've got another paper coming in 2 weeks, you have another paper coming next month. Take what we did here today, and when it comes time for the next paper, demonstrate to me that that's in your head. And we've both won. I'm honored, obviously, I'm honored to have been recognized as the Teacher of the Year. One of my favorite things about being a teacher in Prince William County is working with the teachers I get to work with every day. They're talented, really talented, creative, brilliant teachers working in our classrooms who are risk takers, and they do try new things with kids all the time. One of my favorite things to do is to walk around the building and just see what other teachers are doing, and I promise I do it every day, where I think, I wish that was mine. I wish I had done that. And and so for me, the students have been saying to me, what's it like to win this award? I didn't win anything. I didn't win anything. I get to work with, I'm working with brilliant people, and to be recognized or to have received this honor I'm humbled by it. I was truly surprised. Actually, I'm embarrassed to say that I didn't have my glasses on when the associate superintendent came through the door. I thought it was a student, and I was that surprised when he showed up for the recognition. And so, I'm not really thinking about it as having won an award as much as being recognized as one among a group of really talented and hardworking people. And I have to credit what I can to Neil Beach, the principal here, and the administrative staff.
So you can only have him in 11th or 12th grade, but if my brother went to the school, because I do have a little brother, he's a sophomore, and if he was to be in GEMS, I would absolutely tell him you want this teacher. I'd say, you want Dr. Scott, you're going to have fun in class. Like, you're going to get to class, and you're going to get in here, and it's not going to be serious. It's not going to be the saddest class of the day. It's not going to be like, oh, here we go again. It's going to be like, hey, he's going to put something fun on. We're going to do something that is exciting. I'm going to learn about, like, theory, or I'm gonna learn about philosophy, or I'm gonna look at old art and try to understand why old artists did this, and he's gonna make it funny and relatable. And it's just a class that, like, you want to be in. It's a class for the students. So. And
on top of that, when you sit in his class and you listen to him, your way of thinking changes. You start thinking, of problems and how to solve them in ways that you wouldn't even imagine, but his mentorship, him guiding us through these problems, it unlocks doors of, like, I can take this avenue and solve this problem, I can take this avenue to solve another problem, and you surprise yourself. You honestly do.
I think it's hard to be close-minded after you take Dr. Scott's class.
That's so true.
I think he forces everyone to think.
Yeah.